Every night at the stroke of 3, the pussies gather. Welcome to 1000 Wives of Weird, the podcast for everything weird, movies, books, and today stage shows. My name is Billy Martell, and with me as always is...
Brad Hefner.
We talk about tentpole weird things. Things that fundamentally change who you are as a person, at the very least, what you are able to accept from media in terms of weirdness or oddities. And this one is of personal importance to me, what we're talking about today. It's a stage show made by an independent theater company out of Michigan. They now operate out of Chicago. They're called Star Kid Productions. They've been operating for years now. They're most famous for their Harry Potter series, a Harry Potter musical, a Harry Potter sequel, and a Harry Potter senior year. More recently, they've been doing a series of annual horror musicals, which is kind of unique. Don't hear about a lot of horror musicals.
No, I wish I heard about more.
Yeah, there's The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals and Black Friday so far are the two horror musicals that they've done. And those are quite good. But today we're talking about one of their earliest productions. This was their immediate follow-up to a Harry Potter musical, Me and My Dick. I guess just going into very briefly is just a story about a young man who has an anthropomorphized penis, who he discusses his actions with, and basically this, we talk about, I talked last time about genres of weird.
Yes.
Violence of Voyager is in the genre of weird where it's a fairly normal person arrives at a place and weird stuff happens for a while. This is a different genre of weird where we start with a weird premise. The premise is fairly well explained to the audience, even if it is a bit bizarre. And then the rest of the running time is the writers yes-anding themselves to see how far they can go with what is happening.
Huh, I didn't think of it as like that, but that's a good description.
Yeah, so like another example of that would be like the movie Reanimator. This guy can bring things back from the dead. Let's see how far we can go. Or every episode of Clerks, the animated series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which they're talking about a revival of.
Clerks?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, Kevin Smith hasn't produced a lot that I've liked recently.
No.
But I love Clerks, the animated series.
I do too. I'm cautiously hopeful. I'm more hopeful about the Clone High revival.
God. Absolutely.
Which just got announced.
I was just talking to someone about Clone High the other day, because I found out apparently the depiction of Gandhi in that show was very controversial.
It was in India. Over here we didn't give a shit.
Obviously,
who the fuck cares about?
We don't care.
But I noticed in the article I read about the revival that Gandhi was not mentioned. They are dropping him for the revival, which would make sense.
It would.
And would probably be a good idea.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting to see.
It will be interesting to see. Didn't they... We're going on a tangent here, but didn't they write in, once India got offended, didn't they write in that he was not the real Gandhi, he was like another Gandhi?
I don't recall that.
By accident? Okay.
Because I imagine they produced, because it was only 13 episodes, so I imagine they were produced very quickly.
True.
And very many before the show aired, so they didn't have a lot of time to respond to backlash.
Sure.
But they will obviously have to address that now, especially with the changing cultural climate. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that.
Sure. Well, anyway, coming back to Me and My Dick, this was one of their earliest productions. The group Star Kid got together originally because they were all students at the University of Michigan, and they just started writing shows because they weren't getting the parts that they wanted and in the college, so they just decided to start writing their own material, and a lot of their earlier stuff is very crass, like this is, but it's very interesting, and this one was a very important show for me. They only performed it once. They filmed it, and then they recorded the cast album. It's the film is on YouTube for free for anyone, which is how we were able to watch it. And then the musical's cast recording became the first ever student musical to place on the Billboard 200 charts,
Really?
peaking at number 11 for Billboard's top cast albums.
That's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Doesn't make any sense
No.
that a show like this would be that.
Yeah, I didn't particularly enjoy the music in this very much.
Sure.
So I'm a little surprised from that aspect.
Yeah.
But it's awesome that students were able to achieve that.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so cool for them.
It's so cool that a group that started with such inauspicious beginnings have lasted for so long.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
I imagine the core... Is there a core group, or I imagine it's shifted a lot?
It has shifted a lot, but the core... There are still some core people involved. Like, for instance, the writers of of the book for this show, Matt Lang and Nick Lang, the two brothers, have stayed with the company. They are Star Kid, really. They've stayed with the company the entire way through. Every script, no matter who it's written by, always takes a pass from them. And they're, I think, where Star Kid really gets its voice. That sort of, we're being sincere, but also, like, aren't we being kind of goofy about it, like, sort of thing.
Now, I'm surprised that... Because the main character is called Joey Richter.
And
portrayed by an actor
named Joey Richter. Yes.
So I would have thought that Joey Richter had written the...
You would think, and especially because there are a lot of comments throughout the show about his weight and his face, and just his regular appearance. You would imagine that this would be like something that Joey Richter wrote, but apparently no. His friends are just real shitty and wrote an entire show about how much he sucks.
Yeah, interesting. Sounds like something I would do.
It does. Joey Richter is one of the people who has lasted a long time. He's been involved with their stuff forever, and he has, thankfully, his voice has gotten much stronger over the years. In this show, all of them are very early in their development.
Weak singing.
There's a lot of weak singing, and it's especially if you watch The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, you get to see how much they've really exploded from there talent-wise.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fantastic. But, so, yeah, as per usual, we're going to give our brief thoughts about the show at the beginning, and then we'll get into a much more in-depth discussion as we go forward. So, Brad, what did you think of Me and My Dick?
I would not recommend it. At age 32, a lot of the humor fell very short for me. I imagine if I watched this in my 20s, especially my early 20s, I would have found it a lot funnier. And there are funny things in there. Like, I'm not going to say I didn't chuckle ever.
Yeah.
There's some alright songs. It's mostly the humor. I can definitely see why this, knowing what I know about you, and I'm sure you'll get into that.
I will, yeah.
I can see how this is a tentpole thing for you.
Yeah.
For me, again, at 32, it's like, okay, yeah. This was made by college students.
Yeah.
There are also moments that I found really slut-shamey and body-shamey.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Which, again, this was 10 years ago. The cultural climate has changed a bit.
There's also a lack of awareness when it comes to LGBT plus issues, which I do want to get into.
Yeah. There's one, I guess, a revelation in particular has not stood the test of time well.
There is that revelation, and also just the fact that there's an assumption of heteronormativity throughout the entire production.
Very true.
Yeah.
So also watching it on YouTube, the quality is not great.
It is not.
The sound quality especially, which is kind of important for a musical.
Definitely.
So I can't... I really appreciate what they did, that these college students put on something of this magnitude. This is something that I always wanted to do, especially in high school, was create something and have it performed, but I never had the drive. These kids did, and it's great to watch, and it's great that they've gone on to other things.
Yeah.
But, Billy, tell us about what you think of this.
So I'm not really surprised that that's where you came away with this. With a lot of the jokes are very sophomoric. They're very like every joke that comes into your head when you think of, oh, it's going to be a joke. It's going to be a joke about a dick or a vagina or something. It's the most obvious thing that you could come up with, almost every time. This show for me, I do recommend it, and I enjoy this show so much even to this day. I know I agree with everything that you're saying. It's like I said, it's very sophomoric. It has some of the elements or references have not aged well. There are some things that are a little bit slut shamey or again upsettingly heteronormative. Probably because of when this hit me at the time and what effect it's had on me, and also the fact that I know the Star Kid cast so well, and I know that in general they are not mean spirited at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were clearly trying to just write a show about stuff that they thought about, and it was a bunch of hetero guys writing a musical, and that's what ended up coming out of it. And just the performances and the delivery of a lot of the stuff, particularly from Jamie Lynn Betty, who plays the main love interest, and the guy who plays the main character's heart.
Oh, he's fantastic.
Oh my god. I at a certain point I had to stop myself because all of my notes were just lines that he said, because I just find him so damn funny. So I absolutely recommend this, but I would not be surprised if more people agreed with you than agreed with me. Other Star Kid shows I would recommend that we will not be covering on the show is definitely, if you are a Harry Potter fan, definitely check out their Harry Potter trilogy. It's better written than any of the movies and some of the books. And sorry,
I would probably agree with you on that. I've only read 3 of the books, but
sure,
I'm not a Harry Potter fan, and especially not a fan of J.K. Rowling.
Well, neither of us are a fan of J.K. Rowling, but still a fan. Myself, I'm still a fan of the books. I think that they are well written, but the shows are so good. They transcend the source material in a way that not many fan productions of things really do. Yeah, so let's talk about Me and My Dick.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, this was written by A.J. Holmes, who plays the Heart. It was written by Matt Lang and Nick Lang, the two brothers behind most of Star Kid. Also Brian Holden, who plays Flopsy in the show.
Oh, okay.
And another 2 people who were involved in writing it were Carlos Valdez, who's now known mostly for playing the fan favorite character Cisco on the CW's The Flash.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and Darren Criss, who's known mostly now for being Darren Criss.
Yeah, he's the name I've heard from Star Kid. Did he play Harry Potter in the Harry Potter
He played Harry Potter, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that kind of was his first charming douchebag role that he's kind of become popular for playing now.
And this was released in 2010.
It was, yep. Again, it was performed only once at the University of Michigan. They filmed that production, and that is what you see. I get the sense that it was put together so quickly that they did not get to dress the set that they wanted to, because in the recording you can see it almost looks like the set is decorated for a prom or something.
Yeah.
And that is not the plot of this show. There's no prom.
No.
When the production starts, the Star Kid logo...
Hold on. You mentioned that this was written in 24 hours.
Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so the original backstory behind this was that A.J. Holmes and Matt Lang were paired together during a theater festival at the University of Michigan to create a show in a day. And Matt Lang and Nick Lang had an idea for the show, and they were just like, well, let's do this! And so they wrote and put the whole show together in 24 hours.
Now, do you know if they did additional work after that, or was this like, hey, we have 24 hours? Because I can't imagine they could have scored this and choreographed this. And there's footage of them rehearsing, I think, during the credits.
Yeah. I think it must have been just the writing took place in 24 hours.
Gotcha.
I don't know if they changed anything, but yeah, there is footage of them rehearsing. There are some actually pretty well choreographed sequences, at least for college kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only line that I could find anywhere about why or how this was made. You would think that there would be more people asking just what were you thinking when it comes to something like this, but apparently more people are interested in just talking about their more recent work. So,
or Harry Potter.
Or Harry Potter. Yes, exactly. That's their biggest thing. And this is at the beginning of the show. It has an old version of the Star Kid logo that comes up. This is not the one that they use anymore. But the Star Kid logo they decided on at the time, I guess, was a reference back to their Harry Potter show featuring Rumble Roar, the headmaster, the lion headmaster of the competing school to Hogwarts, Pigfarts.
Okay.
That's on the moon. So yes, founding member Joey Richter is playing himself in the show. Nowadays, he's mostly known for playing a lot of sidekick characters on Nickelodeon sitcoms.
Oh, okay.
And another Joey Walker, who plays almost all of their villains and Batman, is playing his Dick. And the show opens with him singing a song about all the adventures he and his Dick have gotten into over the years. As he wakes up, Joey Walker is dressed up in a neutral tone suit with giant testicles attached to his feet.
They're sort of like, they're at the ankles, they sort of bow out.
Yeah.
In like half circles. Mm-hmm. So has a pink knit cap.
A pink knit cap to be the tip of the penis.
In this world...
There's so many questions about the world of this show.
Yeah, it's very unclear. Actually, I'll ask this later.
Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of questions that are brought up as the show goes on. But yeah, the first song is a love letter to Joey's penis from Joey. And he right off the bat, the jokes are super obvious. Dick tells Joey, "Oh, well, I got up before you did.
Yeah, there's a lot of morning wood.
Your mom came in and I just said hi." And it's like, "Do you want to have sex with my mom? Maybe." "Oh, no, I'm kidding. Dad would ground us."
That was a pretty funny line.
That was a pretty funny joke. I love Joey Walker's physical acting as Dick. It's nothing like Benedict Cumberbatch's Frankenstein's monster impressive. But
it's not like that?
No,
it's not...
But he does a lot with, like, stiffening of his body or, like, flopping around when he's disappointed by something. It's just it's well thought out, and Joey Walker is an actor who really likes to try and make his fellow castmates laugh.
That's a sentiment I appreciate. That's something I enjoy doing as well.
So you can definitely see that a lot of the acting in the show from a lot of people, especially the two Joeys, is very sort of faux sincere. Which I appreciate. I find that very funny with, like, the sort of like, "Oh, come on, Joey. We gotta find a way to have sex." It just,
they seem to be acknowledging that the material they're doing is sort of by the numbers.
Yeah,
at places.
Very muchly so. There's a lot of winking at the audience about the cliched nature of a lot of the story. So yeah, they sing to each other about how much they love being a boy and his dick. You can tell this is the only thing that was the original idea for the show, and that's, like I said, they start with this as the premise, and then everything that comes after that definitely comes from the fevered mind of a writer being like, and where the hell do we go from here?
I will say that very quickly this show started to grind against me because the word boobies is said a lot, and I hate the word boobies. I don't like the word boobs. Partly because when I was a young boy, I was listening to an Adam Sandler album and singing along with one of the Hanukkah songs out loud. And he has a line about Yasmin Bleeth, who used to be on Baywatch, and then it follows up with, "Yes, her boobs are real." My father heard me say that. Stormed into the room and shouted at me for saying boobs.
Oh my God.
So that stuck with me for 20 fucking years.
So you've been traumatized.
Yeah, so now I just don't like the words. I just don't like boobs or boobies, and in this...
in real life, too, you just don't like boobs.
Oh my God, that's untrue, and you know it. I love busty ladies. But I mostly describe them as busty or say titties or tootiful.
I've heard you say breasts before.
Yeah, I don't mind breasts or tits.
Which is odd because I find the word breasts way more awkward to say than boobs.
I find it awkward as well. It sounds very clinical. It sounds like
breasts.
Breasts.
Yeah.
It sounds like I'm trying to talk about hetero things. That's why I normally say
her large, heavy breasts.
So So I mostly say tits, which is probably way crasser than anything else.
I don't know.
Or busty. I like busty.
I mean, you get to hear almost every, like, boobies and boobs is basically the only thing that they refer to boobs as.
Yeah.
But almost every other part of the anatomy gets every word for it name dropped in this thing.
They even drop the hard C.
They do.
At one point.
They do drop the hard C. So then enters the character of Sally, played by Jamie Lynn Betty, who's probably my favorite Star Kid cast member.
Has she stuck with the team?
Yes.
Has she gone on to other successes?
I don't know if she's ever done anything beyond Star Kid, other than I know she was in a few commercials.
Okay.
But she has stuck with Star Kid throughout the run of their existence, and she's one of the ones who's really exploded and become way more talented over time. Like, she's already really good in the show.
She has a lot of presence.
Yeah, but she has just... She's a master of voices, which you get to hear a little bit in this show, only a little bit, with the way that most of the show she's like, "Oh, Joey Richter," and then every once in a while she'll get really mad and just be like, "Joey Richter is crying in here," which is hilarious.
Another great part.
Yeah, but yeah, you find out more about that as time goes on. But yeah, she's fantastic. And she's playing a nerdy, acne-ridden neighbor girl.
She's playing the quote-unquote ugly girl.
Yes.
She's actually an attractive woman.
Yes.
She just needs to take off her glasses and windbreaker.
Right. Yeah, and she's obsessed with Joey. She's been in love with him for years. They've grown up together. Joey calls her salad. He doesn't like her at all.
No.
She's the least sexy thing he can think of, he says.
Which, now you've seen this more than I have, obviously.
Yes.
So, you can pick up on the sort of winking at the audience that this is very cliche and by the numbers.
Yes.
I did not get that for a while, so in the beginning I was like, oh, I wonder if he's going to get with Sally.
No, it's obvious right from the beginning he's going to get with Sally. But yeah, the cast... Yeah, they try and make up for that by, like, really winking at the audience with, like, they literally describe Sally that way. They say, when I think of Vanessa, the little Jewish girl at school, who's the popular girl that he's obsessed with, yada yada yada. You've seen this. He's like, she's so sexy, but when I think of Sally, it's just, and that's all that they say. She's a salad.
Yeah.
And a Wendy's salad, he says.
Which is another funny line.
Yes.
When he refers to her as a Wendy's salad. And then he says, this is towards the end after he's gained a newfound appreciation for her.
Yeah.
She's like a Cheesecake Factory salad.
Right, yeah.
Which I've never eaten at Cheesecake Factory. They're not around here.
I don't think I've ever eaten at Cheesecake Factory. I think that there is one up in Maine. I just don't think I've ever eaten there. Because... Like, I don't like cheesecake that much.
I mean, it's not just cheesecake. It's not like...
I assumed that's what it was.
It's just, you assumed it was just like a big trough of cheesecake.
I assumed it was an actual factory where you're just like sitting beside really loud machinery eating cheesecake as it comes out of it.
As it comes off the assembly line?
As it comes off the assembly line, yeah.
Did you think you had to work there to make it too? Like you paid for this experience? Like it was a fantasy camp at like the Sara Lee Company where it's like... Come on down to the Cheesecake Factory. And
I assume that's where all the cheesecake came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were confused why you had to pay to do this monotonous labor.
Seriously, like I'm doing them a favor by being there. Yeah. Yeah.
I love cheesecake, but I've not heard great things about it. And also
really?
it's
apparently their salad is pretty good.
Apparently. Nick Kroll had a joke where he referred to it as the diarrhea refinery.
That sounds like a Nick Kroll joke.
Also, it's heavily featured on the program Big Bang Theory. That's where the ladies work.
Oh, that's right. They do.
Yeah.
Now I remember that. I don't watch Big Bang Theory.
I watched a good amount of it at one point because I was like, man, I hate the Big Bang Theory. Wait, I've never watched it.
Right.
So I should watch some so I can actually hate it. And turns out, I do.
Yeah.
There were no surprises there. Very attractive women on that show, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's TV.
It is television.
Yeah. I watched a couple of episodes just finding it on TV once, and I was just like, yeah, this is as bad as I thought it was.
Mm-hmm. One thing that will always stick for me from that show is the character Howard is talking about how his mother doesn't use computers because she's afraid she'll get a computer virus. And I'm like, this is a fucking joke from like a mid-90s, like, jokes for computer kids.
Yeah, this is like something if Bob Hope were still alive. Yeah. This is the joke you would tell. So yeah, they're obsessed with this girl, Vanessa, the little Jewish girl from school.
Why do they keep mentioning she's Jewish? That never has anything to...
I don't know.
I thought it was going to lead to like a foreskin joke or something like...
Oh yeah, that would have been interesting. But no, they just really like that she's little and Jewish, and they're obsessed with that. But they never.
I kept waiting for a payoff to that. Like,
my only guess is that maybe because it was written so quickly, maybe that's an inside joke between the actual cast.
Gotcha.
Because the audience certainly seems to find that funny.
The audience finds some things funny, which I don't quite get at times.
Joey's getting ready. We cut to Sally, and the next logical step when you have a show where a guy's talking to his penis the entire time, and you have a female character who is also a viewpoint character, is to have her talk to her vagina.
Yep.
So her Miss Cooter enters the scene, who is Southern and wonderful and did nothing wrong.
Yes, she is. Why is she Southern? Is it because she comes from down south on the human anatomy?
The actress who plays her, as far as I know, as far as I can remember, has only played one other part in the Star Kid canon, and that's Cho Chang in the Harry Potter musicals.
Okay.
In which the joke is also that Cho Chang enters the scene with a couple of other girls, one of them Asian, and they assume that Cho Chang is the Asian one, and the Asian one says, "Bitch, I ain't Cho Chang." And then it's, "Aha, I'm Cho Chang, y'all." And that's the joke for the rest of the franchise, is that,
gotcha.
I'm Cho Chang. So my only guess is that might be just her actual accent.
Okay.
It's very broad.
It is. I did not think it was real.
It was her accent.
God bless her.
Yeah, but at the very least, she does it well, and they decided to incorporate it again because they found it funny.
Yeah.
Is constantly unfolding new levels of yes ands to the premise.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, you just think, okay, so it's a guy and his dick. This is going to be about like sexual discovery with the sort of comic premise that he can talk to his dick. Like, what would you say to your dick if you could talk to it? And then as the show goes on, you begin to realize, no, in this universe, dicks talk. They can talk to each other. They can talk to other people. Vaginas talk. Vaginas and dicks talk.
They talk to each other.
They talk to each other. They talk to other body parts. At one point, Joey calls his dick an asshole, and his dick says, "Don't compare me to those guys." They take this premise as literally as possible to an almost uncomfortable degree.
Yeah, I just wish it were more consistent, because at one point, a very funny line is, "Please don't touch me with your penis."
So this is where you begin to realize, because they go to school, Joey and Sally head to school, and when they get to school, Sally is still talking to Joey, and the dick runs up to another cast member and says, "What a salad, right?" and grabs the guy on the shoulder, and the guy says, "Please don't touch me with your penis!"
Which...
You suddenly realize, oh no, the dick has a mind of its own and can go and touch people if it wants.
But it also makes it sound like Joey is, like, winging it around and, like, touching this guy with it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, don't touch me with your penis, not, please don't touch me.
Yeah.
You're a penis, or something like that.
Right.
So it's... My mind is always, like, going, like, well, what are the exact logistics of this?
Right. So again, very much an improv game where they just keep developing layers for it as the show goes on, and then probably didn't bother to go back and make sure that everything was consistent with the way that the show goes later.
Gotcha.
It's just, let's have Joey talk to this guy. Oh wait, but then he's like, "Don't touch me with your penis." That's fucking hilarious. That guy who gets touched with the penis, is then the voice of the school hating Joey for the rest of the show.
Yes, which he was my favorite character.
I know. every time Joey's at his lowest point, he pops in and just talks about how much the school hates Joey. Anytime someone says, like someone calls him a limp dick at some point, and he pops, is like, "What? Everybody!"
I want to point out that at one point when Joey's talking to his penis about how to get Vanessa, one, there's a Dick in the Box reference.
There is a Dick in the Box reference.
Which, it's college kids, they're going to put a few references in there, but
yes,
it felt cheap to me because you're just taking someone else's...
They never call it a Dick in the Box, and the reference that they give is Big Sausage Pizza.
Which is the reference I wanted to address, because that is an actual porn series.
Right.
Which I have not heard in 12 years. So that was a nice trip down memory lane.
Right.
Where it's like, oh yeah, there was a porn series where a guy would cut a hole in a pizza.
Yeah.
Then put his dick through it.
Right.
And bring it to women, and they would open the pizza box and not be disappointed that their food was ruined, but rather be happy that this man had his penis out.
Yeah. They're just Big Sausage Pizza. Oh, no, I don't think that she'll be mad. Jewish girls love pizza, especially Big Sausage Pizza.
Which, again, I was waiting for a reference to the Jewish thing, being like, someone would go like, that's not kosher.
Ha ha ha. But yeah, the show even more blatantly blares at you. Joey and Sally are getting together by the fact that they're dressed the same.
Are they?
They have the same pattern on their clothes.
Oh, I didn't notice.
And the same color scheme when they show up. Just a random note, Joey is wearing a blue headband through most of the show.
Yeah.
This was a trademark of Joey Richter's.
I assumed it must have been.
Yeah, he just wore headbands all the time, to the point where they made it a plot point in their Avatar parody, Starship Ranger. Or no, just Starship, where he had to wear the blue headband to enter the Avatar. That's James Cameron's Avatar, not...
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender, by the way.
Not M. Night Shyamalan's Avatar.
But yeah, Miss Cooter is Southern and wonderful, did nothing wrong. She and all the other vaginas, yes, there are other vaginas in the show, is dressed in like a pink flowy dress. Mm-hmm. That's how they signify vagina. Vanessa, the Jewish girl, enters, and Joey and Dick start singing about how they're ready to go. That's like... After Me and My Dick, that's the big opening number, as everyone in their various states of mind and their various motivations singing about how they're just so ready to go.
It's the townsfolk song where everyone gets together and talks about how they're going to put on the big show.
Yep. And again, this is when you start to realize... you start to realize from the very beginning, the recording is crap.
Yes.
It's their... One of their earliest shows, like I said, the shitty audio equipment was used to record the production. There is a cast album, so you can hear it more clearer if you want to.
During the credits, you hear a crisp recording, which sounded much
You hear
better.
a crisp recording by Darren Criss singing one of his songs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Darren Criss is in this?
He's not in it, but he sings on the credits.
Gotcha.
It's like when they have Elton John sing one of his songs from the Disney movie you just saw.
Gotcha. Elton John provided the soundtrack for Sherlock Gnomes.
Yes, he did. That Sherlock Gnomes and Romeo and Juliet were both made through a production company specifically designed to keep Elton John's music in the public eye.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. It's a film production company he established to make kids' movies with his songs so that other generations can grow up with his songs.
Oh, I thought he just fucking...
Nope.
Wanted to release his album and was like... Find me a kids movie. Find me a movie to... Jesus.
No, he made both of those movies.
Christ.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel bad for his gay baby. Like, imagine, like, Elton John's your dad. You can get any entertainment in the world. And he's like, look what I got. Sherlock Gnomes.
Sherlock Gnomes.
Which is...
He is the kind of guy that would make his kids watch his own movies.
Well, whenever some celebrity does a shitty kids movie, they're always like, I want something my kids could watch.
Right, yeah. We meet Vanessa and her best friend, Tiff, who is set up right off the bat as the school slut.
Yes.
She is just the horniest of people.
Mm-hmm. And here's where the slut-shaming really comes in, and a lack of understanding about how vaginas actually work.
Again, when we talk about sophomore work, the understanding of anatomy is very sophomoric as well. So you get to meet their vaginas. Vanessa's vagina is Flopsy, who is sort of stereotypical, quivering 1920s socialite.
They're both dressed like flappers for some reason.
Yes, they are. They're dressed like flappers. Oh, that was probably a joke.
Oh,
Flapper.
yeah. Which makes sense for Tiff, because...
Yeah. And Tiff has the old snatch.
Yes, and...
Who is one of the most endearing characters in the show.
I love the character. I love the actor. I just wish it wasn't attached to, like... Yeah, if you fuck a lot, your pussy gets worn out.
Right, which is not a thing.
No, which actually...
A lot of people still believe that. It's not a thing.
A lot of people do, so I guess we can skip that question on my sex ed quiz that I had for you. Which, let me ask the first question right now.
Okay, go right ahead.
Why should people with vaginas pee after sex?
I don't know. I've heard that, but I've never understood that.
To avoid urinary tract infections.
Oh, that's right. I did know that.
And my second question was, true or false, the amount of sexual partners permanently changes the appearance of a labia?
Guessing no.
False.
Okay.
That's what we were talking about before.
Oh, okay.
Like it doesn't...
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the labels of different things.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to get a diagram out, but that would obviously not work.
Not work in an audio
podcast,
format. Yeah,
but
we need to get a set together and make this a talk show.
We should.
The old Snatch is depicted as this old,
very gruff
person. Both
bearded.
Of these vaginas are played by men.
Why I get why they did that for the old Snatch
to
make it more grizzled. But why do you think they did it for Flopsy?
I think they did it for Flopsy because Brian Holden was one of the writers. He plays Flopsy. Mm-hmm. And I think they probably just thought, they were probably writing it and he started doing the voice for Flopsy and they were like, this is too funny, just put it in.
And it is funny. He's very funny in the role.
He's hilarious. And Brian Holden is absolutely hilarious. My favorite line from him in any Star Kid musical is also from that show Starship I mentioned earlier, where he plays a yuppie bad guy, and he's running around shooting everyone with a joint, and he says, "That's right, I'm smoking pot!" The old Snatch is annoyed because Tiff fucks everyone and anyone, and she's like, I've seen it all. And Flopsy is annoyed because Vanessa is monogamous with her boyfriend Rick, but apparently Rick's dick is a little bit too rough. Gotcha. And she is annoyed by that. But it turns out that Rick and Vanessa have maybe broke up because Rick was spotted cheating on her and she didn't talk to him about it and just assumed that had happened. So we learn later that he didn't cheat on her.
This was, like I said, I could not hear a lot of this.
Yeah.
And for the first half of when I was watching this, I had a very janky fan in my ear. So that I eventually turned it off because I'm like, oh, this makes hearing easier.
Sure.
But so I didn't catch all the details about... I got the Rick was cheating on her.
Yeah.
I did, and I thought they had just, she had decided to split up.
That's kind of the way that it's put in the beginning, but then later you find out she never talked to him about it. She just heard the rumor and was like, well, I guess we're done.
Oh, okay.
And which is why they end up... Spoilers, they end up getting back together in the end. Tiff is shocked. She says, WT fuck! And then suggests that Vanessa go for a revenge fuck with someone very much below herself, namely Joey Richter.
Yes.
The whole cast finishes singing So Ready to Go, and Sally and Miss Cooter start talking about how they're going to woo Joey, leading to another one of my favorite lines. Miss Cooter telling Sally she needs to tell Joey that she wants him to make wild and passionate love to her until she dies a naked and sexy death. Sally interprets this as asking Joey to go study, and she ends up accidentally gets confused and ends up asking, I want to make Caribbean study with you! I love Jamie Lynn Betty so much. But then Tiff and Vanessa come in and they ask, Joey and Sally have already decided to be lab partners in their school project. Sally has this grand idea for a film noir themed science project she really wants to do that we get to hear bits and pieces of on occasion. But Tiff and Vanessa come in and Vanessa says that she really wants to work with Joey all night long in her parents' place with the mirror on the ceiling over the master bedroom, which the dick says, oh man, her parents are kinky. That's an inherited trait.
That's another line I also enjoyed.
Joey immediately gets excited by that. and he tells Sally, "Thank you so much." Sally did not have a say in this. Joey just said, "Okay, I'm doing this now." Sally's now stuck with Tiff, and he says, "Sally, thank you so much for letting me do this, because group projects are where marriages happen. So thank you so much for giving all that up so that I can have that with Vanessa and not with you."
Now, I was just thinking, this is jumping back a little bit.
Yeah.
How would you explain to a child why there's a mirror on the ceiling? Let's do some role play.
Okay.
I'm your child.
Okay.
I'll be your son.
Okay.
Hey, Pops.
Hey, son.
Why is there a mirror on your bedroom ceiling?
Well, sometimes I want to look at myself while I'm sleeping.
How do you do that with your eyes closed, Pops?
Well, not when I'm sleeping, but when I'm falling asleep, I look up and I see myself in the mirror as I'm getting ready to sleep, and I think, that's a handsome guy. And
How can you see with the lights off?
Your mom and I like to watch each other fuck each other.
Okay. Can I watch?
No.
What?
That's what the multiple cameras are for.
And scene.
Yeah.
I think you'd be a good dad.
Thanks. Joey is so excited that Sally gave up time to spend with him so that he could have sex with Vanessa that they hug, but I guess they hug a little bit too close because Dick gets to meet Miss Cooter.
Which is, you'd think they would have met before. Do you think they would have hugged on another occasion, like Christmas?
Like Christmas? Sure, but apparently this is a very close hug, and the Dick just sort of wanders too close to the Cooter, and they meet and instantly fall in love.
Of course.
Yeah. They sing a song.
Probably my least favorite song.
I get it.
The tune is bad. The singing is very lackluster.
Yes.
The audience is cracking up during the dance for some reason.
The audience is really enjoying this. I think probably because of... Oh, I know what it is. When they're dancing, if you have to have seen it a couple of times, but if you look in the background while they're dancing, Joey Richter and Jamie Lynn Betty are still hugging, and they've got their crotches up against each other, and they just start, like, rotating in a circle because their crotches are dancing over here, so obviously they're doing something over here. So I think that's probably what the audience was laughing at, just that.
Okay, because I was
choice.
Very confused.
Yeah.
I thought that this audience would later be hired to be the Big Bang Theory audience. That was just fucking laughing at nothing.
Just laughing at... Have you seen any of those cuts that they do of the Big Bang Theory or any other sitcom, like Friends, online, where they remove the laugh track and then realize, like, how miserable everything is?
Yeah, I have. It's surreal and upsetting.
It's
and
great.
It's
art.
Great. It's also why I prefer sitcoms like The Good Place, where the humor comes from not people being terrible to each other.
Right.
Or not... There's not this gloss of, oh, we're all really good friends, even though we're fucking assholes to each other all the time. It's like, these are selfish people. These are bad people. They're not... Yeah.
Especially Friends feels like that when you watch it without a laugh track. It feels like because there's always those really long pauses where they're waiting for the laugh track to end.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the jokes in that are just like people saying the worst things to each other.
Yeah.
And then there's just a long pause. It's kind of like Community gets away with it because the characters say horrible things with to each other, but then like the show moves on immediately.
Yeah.
But if you remove that laugh track in that space, it's just people acting horrified that someone said something horrible to them, and you suddenly realize, oh shit.
And Community, it's also a thing where there's this ongoing struggle within the show of, are we friends? Are we just a study group? How close actually are we?
Right. Do we fuck? Do we not fuck?
Exactly.
Yeah.
MASH in other countries does not have a laugh track.
Does it not?
No.
Interesting.
Because it's a fucking horrifying show about the horrors of war. It is a horrifying
show, yeah.
They just drink martinis sometimes. Like, that's...
I've never come away from an episode of MASH without being horribly depressed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a fun show.
It's... It's one of the most iconic comedies of
The fucking
American
theme
history.
song is called "Suicide Is Painless."
Oh, that's right. But yeah, another piece of art where someone has taken another form of artwork and changed it that I really love. There's a Tumblr where they post Garfield strips without Garfield.
Yes,
And
brilliant.
It's just John.
The Madness of John Arbuckle.
The Madness of John Arbuckle. That is an amazing piece of art.
It's great. And just another quick recommendation while we're talking about Garfield.
Yes.
Lasagna Cat.
So yeah, after the love song is over and Miss Cooter and the Dick have met, it suddenly abruptly ends when they break off the hug, and Joey is very embarrassed by what just happened. Neville re-enters the scene and says, "Now Joey's got a boner! Joey Richter is wiener wild!"
I did. I did love that phrase, wiener wild.
There's also another thing I like about this show. There's constant references to previous adventures.
Yeah.
It makes the entire thing feel like the movie version of an animated sitcom, like the Goofy Movie or something. Like,
yeah.
We've seen these people in like everyday situations. They always at the very beginning, Joey's like, "How am I supposed to get laid when I have a wacky dick that's getting me into all sorts of wacky situations?" So Vanessa's getting ready to have sex with Joey. She's getting ready at her parents' house. Tiff brings over a box of props to help, including beers, condoms, sex toys.
And did you get the joke with the beer? Because I feel the audience did not.
I did, and I wanted to talk about that.
Okay.
Because Tiff says the guy at the liquor store has the jailbait hots for me, which is one of the only references in the show. There are like 4 or 5 references in the show to how young the characters are actually supposed to be, because they are supposed to be in high school, which means that they are underage, and I wish that they would stop referencing that, because the actors are clearly not underage.
Yes.
So that's fine, but anything involving high school kids having sex makes me uncomfortable. I don't like the sexualization of high school that is pervaded our culture.
Okay.
It makes me upset.
Is this because the only other person in your high school was your mom?
I had siblings.
True. I didn't know if they went to school with you, or if I imagine like you just being in a room alone with your mother being taught.
No.
Okay.
No, I just find it annoying, because I understand that a lot of kids have their sexual awakening in high school, and I understand that's where it comes from. So yeah, it puts undue pressure on kids who don't want to do it. More than that, it puts in the mind of adult men that
high school girls
or
high school boys are sexual creatures.
Are sexual creatures. And I mean, the sexualization of children is a whole other thing we could get into, which we're not going to. But like the sexualization of high school, I think it's bad for high school kids. It's bad for adults. There's this idea that, we have those like magazines are like barely legal and stuff like that, or porn videos that are like just turned 18, like all this stuff. And I just, I think it's all very gross.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't like it. So in this show, I give this show a pass, one, because, again, they were young. They didn't know any better.
Yeah. They're playing to tropes.
But yeah, every once in a while they reference the jailbait hots for me. Oh my God. And that makes me upset. This is one of the reasons why, as much as it's very popular musical now is Be More Chill, I can't stand it, because it's all about high school sex.
Okay.
And I understand that makes me a bit of a prude, but
I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
High schoolers fuck. I think if a plot is going to be like just like high schoolers are fucking because they do.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Right. I didn't.
Yeah. Well, again, it was just you and your mom.
I
you were homeschooled.
I interacted with other kids.
Yeah, but you did penis interact with them.
That's true. I did not penis interact with other kids.
I had some penis shenanigans. I just didn't get laid. You were homeschooled. We should probably
I was homeschooled, but I did interact with other kids because I was in theater programs with other schools, and I was involved in what they call co-ops, where different parents would teach different classes. So
you got to lust for women other than your mother.
I did get to lust for women other than my mother. Yes,
that's good.
Yeah,
it's good for a young boy to branch out.
It's healthy, but yeah, actually, that brings up a good point. So part of the reason why this show is so important to me is that I did grow up in a very sheltered household. I came from a very conservative, very Christian family. Still a Christian, no longer really a conservative at all. I seem to grow more socialist with every passing day. But because of that, I did not have a great understanding of the human body.
Okay.
And especially sexual things made me very uncomfortable.
Which is why you're fucking failing this quiz so far.
Right, exactly. Even when we got to college, we were just having a class about the vagina monologues, and the professor said, if anyone is too squicked out by something like this, you can walk out. And I was the only one who walked out.
And you said, a talking vagina, no sir.
Something like that. I just walked out, and so I had seen, I believe at this point I'd seen their Harry Potter musical and I'd seen their Batman musical, whole musical Batman. Now my now wife at the time, just friend Kaylee, tricked me into watching this. And
would she slip you a roofie and you woke up watching it?
No, she was like, "Oh, there's another Star Kid musical we could watch." Click, and it starts playing. And then she straps me down and puts the Alex DeLarge...
Ludovico.
The Ludovico thing to my face. And I'm watching it, and it's... like, right off from when he said, "It's me and my dick," and the guy pops up with a hat, I was immediately...
You start screaming.
Internally, yeah. Like, I was just like, what?!
Sex! And up to that point, you'd always put a black bar over your own penis so you didn't have to look at it.
Right, yeah. I'd never seen my own penis.
You were a never nude.
I was a never nude, yeah. No, I would go into the... I had a special tuxedo for showers. Yeah, just watching the show and just... It was really like a baptism of fire of just like, get over it.
So this was the raunchiest thing you had ever seen?
This was the absolute raunchiest thing I'd ever seen.
So as a child, you never watched like South Park or
never watched South
like
Park. That? Never. I wasn't allowed to watch The Simpsons when I was a kid. Yeah,
a network television show.
A network television show.
Tamer as it goes on, I believe.
Yeah, no, I was not, because at the time when Simpsons came out back in the 90s, the word on the street was it was destroying the American family.
Well, George Bush addressed it. George Bush said the families in America need to be more like the Waltons than the Simpsons.
Was that senior or junior?
Senior.
Okay. Yeah. So my parents heard that and didn't bother to look any further into it.
Gotcha.
So
they also didn't want you watching a show with colored people on it.
No, they were fine with that. They were fine with the Cosby Show.
Okay.
Which bit them in the ass later, you know.
Yeah.
But, like...
Did they ever apologize to you for that?
No.
Oh, you should demand an apology.
I mean, I wouldn't apologize. I wouldn't
Making you watch that Sweater Rapist.
I wouldn't ask them to apologize because that was my favorite show when I was a kid. Still holds a special place in my heart. I just can't watch it ever again.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate your integrity.
Yeah, I tried because the cast of that show is still really good.
Yeah.
I just can't look at him, you know.
Well, just look at Malcolm Jamal Warner.
I tried.
Oh, who hasn't?
I tried looking at Felicia Rashad because she's amazing, but no, just can't.
Did they have a mother switch on that show too, or was that just Fresh Prince?
That was just Fresh. That was the aunt switch, and yeah, that was Fresh Prince.
She was a mother to some people on that show.
They did do a sibling ad in the pilot episode. In the first couple of episodes, they have a certain number of children, and then suddenly they're like, "Oh no, we have another child. She's just at college."
Gotcha.
Because they decided to make it more like Bill Cosby's actual family as opposed to...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, there is actually an episode where Bill Cosby roofies his entire family.
Oh, no.
That's actually real.
It is?
Yep, I'm not making this up as a bit.
Was it like he needs to get some peace and quiet, so he...
Yes.
Is he trying to make a souffle?
No.
Damn it, I love souffle plots.
The family is fighting, so he gives them an extra special a bit of food or drink or something.
It's probably chocolate cake. That motherfucker loves talking about chocolate cake.
Maybe, which has roofies in it, and everybody just starts getting really lovey with each other. Yeah. So
there are always warning signs.
There are always warning signs. Apparently, there's also like a Charlie Rose interview where he's talking about how much he loved to drug women.
Well, he had a bit on one of his albums about Spanish Fly, which was something he would slip in their drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
What a gross, disgusting human.
Yeah.
Who I looked up to for many years.
Love Jello pudding pops though.
So much of my sense of humor is based around him. Anyway, so, like I was saying, so this was like, as Robin Williams once said to someone who had been vegetarian and was trying to start eating meat, if you're a brave person, spam, because it's like every part of the cow at once. This was my every part of the cow at once.
Gotcha.
When it came to sex, and especially because, while it's called Me and My Dick, the vagina is very represented in this thing, and I think that it was the vagina more than anything that I was terrified of, and the female body in general, and this really helped, I think.
That's good.
To realize that there was nothing to be afraid of, and everything is just stupid, and nobody knows their body.
Now, when you first encountered a vagina, were you expecting it to sing? Were you disappointed that it didn't burst into song?
I was. I had floodlights set up.
Did you sort of grab it and move it like a mouth and like?
No, I let it have its time.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling.
I let it have its time to perform.
And then when it didn't, you stormed out and I guess I'm not good enough.
That's right. The vaginas are my singing frog. I'm just always waiting for
I'll tell you, it sings! It sings! Just look at it!
Here! It had a top hat on a moment ago!
Sir, I don't know where you found that vagina or why it's in a box, but we need to arrest you now.
How did you manage to find a loose vagina?
And you put a top hat on it, you sick son of a bitch.
This is an odd sequel to Behanding in Spokane.
I was going to say it's a weird version of Seven. Where all the crimes are based around old Looney Tunes.
I was just thinking, like, instead of a severed collection of severed hands, it was a collection of severed vaginas.
Oh, man. Think about that a lot.
I think about severed vaginas quite a lot.
Well, clearly.
I'm a sick fuck.
This fucking 40-minute tangent came because I asked you if you got the joke about the beer.
Yeah, I got the joke.
What's the joke?
The jailbait hots for me?
No, it's a non-alcoholic beer.
Oh,
it's
is that what
O'Doul's.
O'Doul's is?
Yeah.
Oh. No, I didn't get that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad we established. Granted, we got a lot of important talk out of the way. Your feelings about high school sexuality and a lot of Cosby Show talk.
A lot of Cosby Show talk.
But, yeah, I don't think the audience got that either.
I definitely don't think that they did. Which is too bad, because now that I think about it, now that I know that, they come back to that joke an awful lot over the course of the next scene.
Yeah. Because they're like, I'm so drunk.
I'm so drunk, yeah, from drinking all those beers.
This was probably my favorite scene of the whole thing, because this is a really funny scene.
The scene where he's trying to seduce her.
Yes.
Well,
she's trying to seduce him, and his dick, who is in love with Miss Cooter, is very, like, keeps telling him, like, no, she's not into you, you're getting the messages wrong.
So, Vanessa's really trying to convince him to have sex, and Joey is trying to be smooth and not threatening, so they keep crossing wires. Again, the dick is not into this at all.
He just keeps telling him, like, that he's interpreting the signals wrong, that she's doesn't want to have sex with him.
I think every guy has had a situation like this where they're like, is that it? Was that the thing? My favorite part is Vanessa says, when I drink beers, I lose all my inhibitions, and anyone could do anything to me, like have sex, for example. It would be fun and easy for anyone who is interested. And Joey, after consulting his dick, says, don't worry, no one's going to have sex with you while I'm here, no matter how many beers you drink. And then she finally just says, "I want to have sex with you." And Joey says, "She wants to have sex with us." "She does?" "Yeah. Yay, I did it." And then when it comes to the actual sex, and it's still funny.
And here's where the actor who plays Dick's great physicality comes in.
Yes. He's playing the nervous Dick trying to find Flopsy in the dark. He lights a giant match to try and find Flopsy. He finds her, and then his great physicality comes in. He keeps going for it,
and then going limp,
and then just going completely limp and going off to the side like the X-wing fighters trying to hit that hole in the Death Star. Just keeps missing. He even tries to sing the same song that he sang with Cooter.
Which one of my favorite lines comes in when Flopsy snaps at him. "I'm not gonna fucking sing with you."
Just get in, wiggle around, and get out. You just want me to wiggle?
Which is another stereotype I did not. Both Vanessa and Tiff embody, well, not, at least their vaginas embody negative stereotypes, where the stereotype of that women don't enjoy sex and are cold and prudes.
Right. Which is disproved by the end.
Yes.
It's the attitudes about sex that the characters have that's wrong, not the sex itself. And Vanessa finally gets tired of Joey yelling
at his dick
and waving it around, as she puts it, and tells him to get out of her parents' house, just throws him out onto the street. Joey and his dick start arguing. The dick reveals that he's still thinking about Sally, and that if they're going to try and have sex again, that's who they really should be trying to have sex with. Joey says wishes he was born without a dick.
And here's where I thought it was going to become an It's a Wonderful Life thing. Where it's it goes into a dream sequence where and that's what I thought when The Heart first came out. He's just going to you got your wish.
Right.
And it just Joey's adventures without his dick. But.
Right. But again, this is where the yes and thing happens, where it's this is, and it almost becomes a demented version of Toy Story.
Yes.
Where Joey and his dick are at odds, and his dick literally pops off of his body and walks away, which is not quite as disturbing in a live stage show as it would be in real life.
Yeah.
The way I'm saying this, and people who haven't seen it, who are listening to this, are probably imagining something really horrifying. But he just wanders off. He just walks away. And it's made clear that, he does not have a dick. His dick has left his body and walked away from him. He has no genitals. He's entirely smooth down there.
And is that the end of Act 1?
That is not the end of Act 1. Now that he is as a boy in the middle of puberty, he's entirely ruled by his dick. But once his dick is gone, there's time for other voices. There's space for other voices to come in. And so he starts to listen to his heart, is the next song. And his heart comes in, played by A.J. Holmes, one of the probably most talented actors, and definitely my favorite actors to ever be a part of Star Kid. He doesn't show up as often as I would like, but every time he does is amazing. He has a monologue in A Very Potter Senior Year about how much he wants to be the king of the rat people.
Okay.
He's usually conducting or writing music behind the scenes, so he doesn't play as many parts as I would like, but he plays the heart doing a hilarious Ed Wynn impression.
Oh, is that who it's supposed to be?
That's who it's supposed to be. Listen to your heart, Joey. Listen to your heart. And it's, oh my God. It's
fantastic. It's my favorite part of the show.
Oh my God. It is the best part of the show. It's when Star Kid fans talk about shows, this show does not get brought up a lot. But the heart always does.
Gotcha.
Specifically, this one bit during the song, the heart is very emotional.
Psychotically so.
Psychotically so. And so it's very sweet sometimes, and it wants Joey to be romantic, but if anything goes even slightly wrong, it freaks the fuck out. And one of my favorite One of everyone's favorite lines in any Star Kid song, any Star Kid fan will tell you, is when he's singing about "Listen to Your Heart, Joey," about we're going to romance her doing this, we're going to take her to Paris, we're going to do all this. As says, so she'll promise to stay, so she won't go away. Grabs Joey by the lapels. Don't let her get away, Joey. She can't get away. It's just, oh my god, I can't.
Yeah.
This guy. Also, they bring up Spider-Man. It's a rule in Star Kid shows. Spider-Man has to be brought up at least once in every show. Also, there's usually Disney references in their shows as well, but Spider-Man, they talk about Spider-Man and Mary Jane being the ultimate romance story.
Of course.
Of course. Remember what Jane Austen once said, sometimes your true love turns out to be the person you initially disliked. Which becomes a running theme throughout the rest of the show, and already has been a running theme, but now they've explicitly stated it. And the heart convinces Joey to propose to Vanessa. The logical next step.
Of course.
After you failed to have sex, just propose with a ring that is revealed later he stole from his mother.
That was a great little bit.
And that's the end of Act 1.
All right. Well, let's do another sex ed quiz question, then take a little break.
Okay, sure.
Now, this one has a bonus answer, which I don't expect you to get, but if you can also name it, you can get another point.
All right.
How do hormonal birth control pills work? Just vaguely.
How do hormonal birth control pills work? I used to know this. They disrupt the hormonal balance in the woman to stop the egg and the sperm from meeting.
By doing what, though? What is different?
I don't remember.
You know what? I'll give you a full point because you got like half of both of them.
Okay.
It disrupts the hormonal balance to stop ovulation. And sperm can't fertilize an egg that's not there.
Oh, right. Okay.
It also thickens the cervical mucus.
Oh,
so
right.
making it harder for sperm to even get into the uterus.
Right,
to begin
right.
with. So you have 1 point out of a potential 3. This is you're doing better than 3 Devahu.
So Act 2 opens with Dick walking around downtown, saying hi, very friendly Dick, to people, and people freaking out that there's a Dick walking around. My favorite one, of course, being the guy who just says, "Fuck you!" like repeatedly, over and over again.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
Would you... do you like the costume designs for the genitals, or would you prefer if they had like a little bit more... they look more realistic?
No, I think that it's definitely good for what they could probably do.
True.
And
especially for dancing, it'd be hard to be dressed up as a labia and be dancing around.
Right. I think it's just suggestive enough without going over the top.
I do wish the penises had like eye patches over one eye, so they were were one-eyed monsters.
Oh, one-eyed monster. That's pretty funny. I like that.
I'll pitch it to them.
You'll pitch it to them?
I'll send them, hey, if you ever remake this.
I would be interested in seeing a sequel or a remake of this that incorporates more up-to-date sexual politics.
That'd be interesting.
Because I have so many questions about... because obviously we know that Dick likes Sally and Joey at this point does not. Or at least he thinks he does not. Does that mean that dicks can like... that genitals can like people that the people who possess them do not in this universe?
Seems to.
Like, and could you go even further? Are there gay dicks but straight people?
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, like what... I know that originally this started out as an analogy, but now that we've established them as separate organisms that exist in some sort of symbiotic relationship,
yeah,
clearly there's something else going on there.
I did like the touch, and they lose it in the second act and a little bit before that, where the genitals are attached to some of the possessors by like one of those dog leashes that like stretches out like the nylon cord.
Yes, and whenever they separate, they take the cord off of their belt.
Yeah,
and walk away. Yeah, that's a good bit of connectivity there. And it turns out apparently, although this is a weird happening, and Joey certainly wasn't expecting it to have his dick walk away, it's not unprecedented. There are other lost dicks.
There are many.
There's a cult of lost dicks. The two ones that we meet are Big T, stands for Big Tallywhacker, and Ween, or Weenie, who is a tiny dick.
Body shaming.
Yep. They mug Dick at first when they first meet him and make him shake his balls.
Yeah.
They have a thing about watching balls shake.
They love it.
They
at
love
least
that.
Big Tallywhacker does.
Big Tallywhacker loves to watch the balls shake.
Big Tallywhacker is also black.
He is black. He is a stereotypical, the stereotype about black men's dicks being big. He is that.
Physically the largest.
He's
the tallest person in the show.
Tallest person in the show. He's the biggest, blackest dick. He's that card from Cards Against Humanity.
Speaks sort of jivey, as
Yes.
does Weenie.
Yes, they both speak in a very sort of
Urban patois.
urban patois. That's a good way of putting it. Ween's backstory is that he was almost eaten by a bird.
Yeah.
And then who thought he was a tiny worm.
Very tiny worm.
Yeah, and Big T saved him somehow. Ween and T take Dick to the land of the dicks.
There is a pretty funny line where when Big Tallywhacker is talking about what they do there, it's like chew bubble gum. As one of the things that like they get to spend their time doing.
Yep. And they sing a song about the land of the dicks. This might be my favorite song in the show, partially because it has the most well choreographed dance number.
Yeah.
With all the dicks doing a stand up dicky dance. And there's also a hint of something that is referenced later. When they enter the land of the dicks, Dick gets uncomfortable. There's a disturbance because, as is revealed at the very end of the show, the land of the dicks is not just a location. It is another dimension.
Oh, I did not catch that.
Yes, it's if you blink, you'll miss it. But apparently, the land of the dicks is another dimension where dicks reside.
I was just imagining as like some dirty gutter with a bunch of dicks dancing around.
That's how I imagined it when I first saw the show. But rewatching it for this podcast, I noticed, oh, it's in another dimensional plane of existence. Great.
It's the Black Lodge.
It's Pleasure Island, right? It's except again not an island, but like another dimension.
It's an island in space-time.
It's an island in space-time. Then we cut back to Joey and the Heart getting ready to propose. Hart tells Joey he reminds him of a young Richard Gere.
Yes.
But it's too bad he'll never be a leading man with that jaw of his. Because Joey Richter has a funny jaw. His face kind of goes to one side.
Oh, I didn't notice.
Yeah, and I guess they decided to write one of their lead actors' biggest insecurities into their show.
Why not?
Because, yeah, why not? Vanessa and Tiff enter discussing how bad Joey was in bed. Joey and his Heart enter and read the vows. Vanessa, you are beautiful to me, and I am sure that I love you. So sure that I am willing to make this vow on humbled knee. I will provide, and I love you. You will keep my home and raise my children. I will make you happy if you will make me happy. I'm sure you know what this is, and presents a ring. And she says, I don't know what to say. He says, sometimes the best thing to say is a kiss. Good line, Joey. Chaucer would be proud. Nessa gets upset because this is completely ridiculous and out of nowhere. And Hart tells Joey to do something crazy. So he says, eat chocolate. Throws the Hart box of the chocolate that he got.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Reese's Peanut Butter Cup in her face. This is when the limp dick comment comes out. And they say, oh, everybody, Joey has a limp penis. And his Heart says, oh, you can clear this up, Joey. Tell him you don't have a dick. Which, this just makes Joey burst into tears, and he runs away crying and sobbing to the choir room, which has been established in comments that is where Joey goes to cry, is the choir room.
Yeah.
The old Snatch, because Tiff was there, so the old Snatch witnessed all of this, and she somehow deduces from this display that Joey doesn't have his dick at the moment. Cut back to the land of the dicks. Dick is sad. He's missing Joey. He's missing Miss Cooter. T and Weenie try and make him feel better by shaking their balls. Dick just says, I just really want to be jerked off. The dicks refuse to do it.
Because there are no hands around.
But one would think, since they can apparently smoke cigars and chew bubblegum, that they could do something. But apparently they're not gay dicks. Maybe there are other gay dicks.
Maybe.
I don't know. Then he says, well, what if I could get some pussy? And Big T explains his philosophy of pussy time, which is basically a more fun, cooler way of saying I'm an incel.
Yeah.
It's just the oldest argument you've ever heard in the book of women aren't as into sex as men, and men want to have sex, and it's not fair.
Basically.
Yeah. Much like most incels, it's revealed almost immediately afterwards that if given the opportunity for pussy, Big T would absolutely go for it. He's not as much of a snooty bastard as he claims to be. This is just something that he's told himself for years because he's not getting pussy and he's sad.
Yes.
This is kind of shown that the writers know what they're talking about, because immediately after Big T gives his speech about that, Dick is like, "Oh yeah, pussy time. I'm clocked out." Showing and they're like, "Stop saying it like that. You're making it sound dumb." And it's like, yeah, because it's a dumb concept.
Yeah.
It's a stupid concept. Grow up, people.
Are you ready for another question?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
How fast does the body produce sperm? Here's a multiple choice.
Okay.
A, 1,500 per hour. B, 1,500 per day. C, 1,500 per minute. Or D, 1,500 per second.
1,500 per day?
No.
Oh.
Per second, actually.
Really?
Yes.
That's a lot of sperm.
It's a ton of sperm.
Where does it go?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
If you don't use it, where does it go?
I assume there's just like a graveyard at the bottom of your balls. Where it's like the elephant graveyard in Lion King. And just like monoliths of dead sperm cells. And young sperm cells dare each other to go there. And they run into hyenas.
They run into hyena sperm?
They run into ball hyenas.
Ball hyenas?
Yeah. Exactly like a reef. Yeah, it's a sperm reef.
It's a sperm reef? Oh my god. Oh, that's... Wow. But yeah, so then comes the reference you were talking about.
Yes.
Where it's revealed that all the other dicks in the Land of Lost Dicks did not leave their masters voluntarily. They all left for different reasons. Ween got kicked out. We're not told why or how. He was just kicked out. However, Big T was cut off in a sex change.
Which I did not look it up, but I don't believe that's how sex changes work.
Is that not how sex changes work?
I believe they split the penis to form a labia and vagina.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know how any of that works. But again, it's a very sophomoric idea of what a sex change is. Yeah, you cut off the dick, you open it up, and you got a vagina.
Yeah, and the audience has a weird reaction to this revelation as well, where it's like, it's not laughter, but sort of like an ooh.
Yeah. I'm not sure what that reaction is about. My guess is maybe it's that early 2000s type of humor where a man turning into a woman was still seen as a sign of shame.
Yeah.
In some way. But it's not made clear. The point is, again, talking about the possibility of different sexual identities or different sexualities between penises and their hosts. Apparently, Big T was not consulted on this, and as we learn later, never got over the vagina he had been seeing at that point.
Yeah.
Which we'll get to later. But, yeah, just if you introduce the idea of any kind of LGBTQ plus issues into this show, and this is the only reference to anything like that, it completely changes everything.
Yeah.
The way that it works. Everything works in this show. Like, even at one point you find out that vaginas have special powers that they can only access by thinking of dick. So there's a very clear idea that dicks and pussies go together like boom bap lab bop.
Yeah.
As
exactly.
one said.
And like you said earlier, even though this revelation seems to be being played for laughs.
Yeah.
I didn't get a malicious intent.
No.
And this is something I struggled with recently. I watched the John Waters movie Desperate Living, which is not one of my favorite John Waters movies. The best is probably Female Trouble, which we will probably cover at some point on the show.
I've heard about that one.
But John Waters is a very purposely offensive man. And I went on Letterboxd after to log that I watched it. And
Yeah.
I saw a lot of reviews calling John Waters transphobic or racist or ableist, and
which, if you know about what he does in his life outside
Yes.
of movie directing,
no, I never
does
get a
not reflect
malicious
that.
intent from him. I think
Yeah.
he's doing it for laughs and to gross out normies and all
Yeah.
of that. If you're offended by it, you have every right to be offended by it.
Sure.
But I don't think that John Waters hates any of those groups of people.
no, I don't think so.
So that's. But again, if you're watching something and you feel offended by it, that's within your rights, and you can
Absolutely.
But it's always something I have to struggle with. It's like, where is the creator coming from? What is their intent with this?
It's like Mel Brooks, I think we can both agree, is a comedic genius.
Yes.
But there's a lot of references in his movies to homosexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Does Mel Brooks hate homosexuals? No. Does he use a lot of reductive gay stereotypes in his movies that maybe if he were making those movies now, he would maybe not have done?
Oh, I think they would absolutely not be in there now.
I don't think that they would. Yeah. And he's usually very careful about his stuff, but that was a blind spot for him back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Did he mean anything by it? Absolutely not. If you watch To Be or Not to Be, you know he's very supportive of gay people in that movie. He still uses the stereotypes, but he talks about, it's one of the, I think it was at the time, one of the only movies about the Holocaust that actually talked about the treatment of gay people in Germany at the time. He was one of the first to bring that up, because most people just didn't want to remember that gay people existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's, you always have to keep that in mind, like where are these people coming from? If you're offended, you're offended.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you should be, like, call out shit when it's bad. But yeah, no, they clearly did not mean to hurt anybody.
No.
They were just being childish. So yeah, Big T realizes that since Dick left his guy voluntarily, there's a guy out there who wants a dick and doesn't have one. And maybe he can fill that void, which raises the question, if sex changes are a thing in this universe, wouldn't the lost dicks be, like, lined up outside of a hospital for any woman who wanted to become a man?
That would make sense.
It was like, hey, you want a functioning dick? Another guy didn't want me.
It'd be like Mr. Potato Head, just swap things out.
Just swap things out, yeah. It makes sense. But, no, that's not how that works. But apparently he's going to go and become Joey's dick.
Yeah, and I think we've given this concept of the world building of Me and My Dick more thought than the Star Kids ever did.
Probably.
And I was also, this does not happen, but I was waiting for Big T to become Joey's dick, at least for a little bit, and just the incongruity of the white man with the black penis.
Yeah, that would have been... The concept is played with, but never actually brought about.
Yeah.
They never actually do that. Cut to the choir room, Joey is crying, and Hart is just laying into him, just berating him.
Which seems to be what hearts do in this world, is just insult their owners.
So cruel. He says, never have I seen such a pathetic bumblefuck! Joey, look at me when you're crying! Every line of the Hart Says is pure gold. It's just so fucking funny. The Hart bought real tickets to Venice using their life savings for him and Vanessa's honeymoon, and he throws them away now, realizing, which is actually a Chekhov's gun, throwing the tickets away.
Yeah.
They're in the breeze and they keep floating for the rest of the play until someone eventually catches them later. And then Hart decides that they're too miserable and that he's going to squeeze one of his arteries and kill themselves.
Yeah. Which Joey is all for.
It's Joey's just do it, he says. And then Sally comes in. They're just about to kill themselves. Sally comes in, it's like, Joey, can the choir class come and use their room now? And Joey is just too distraught, so Sally tells him to go away and call Joey's mom to pick him up, which is another one of the references to him being kind of a younger guy.
Yeah.
Sally is such a sweet character. She comes in, she tries to be helpful to Joey and be nice, tries to comfort him. And Miss Scooter says, you're never going to find him in a more pathetic state. You might as well make your move now. Which I'm not sure if that's good advice.
No, it's not. Again, some of the interpersonal politics of the show, which again, it's not meant to be a serious examination,
but just get them while they're down. That's great advice. So Sally delivers what I thought was actually a very well written speech. Just came off as very natural to me, of like saying, there's like a little gag in there where she's like, "I love you," and he's like, "I love you too, best friend," and she says, "No, I mean I like you," and he's like,
that was a nice bit.
But like the rest of her speech, where she's like, I know that this ruins everything, but you have to understand, you've had your heart broken once. I've had my heart broken every day.
Yeah.
And I just love that speech and the way she delivers it. And once she said that she's just going to leave because she's probably ruined everything. And Joey is completely taken aback by this news. And he sings a song, which I thought was a pretty great song, except for how weak the voices are, especially Joey's.
Yeah.
Again, Joey has gotten so much better over the years, but his voice is super weak when singing this song.
Yeah.
And you can definitely tell this is one of the songs that Darren Criss wrote. If you know anything about Darren Criss's voice as a songwriter, if you look at the credits, there are like 3 songs that Darren Criss wrote for the show. They all sound exactly like Darren Criss. And all the other more comical songs were written by the other writers for the show. He asks the heart, what am I feeling? How am I feeling this? And the heart looks back over Sandra Bullock's entire body of work and says, maybe Sally is the person we initially disliked. Bringing back that theme again, saying that Sally is our Bill Pullman. And Bill Pullman is my very favorite actor. I'm always up for some Bill Pullman love.
Yeah, I appreciated the references to 90s superstars.
Was Bill Pullman ever considered a superstar?
I don't know.
That feels like that's going a bit
That's
far.
a bit much, but the Richard Gere stuff, Sandra Bullock, I think there's a few Julia Roberts references.
There might be, I forget. But yeah, Sandra Bullock and Bill Pullman, I love Bill Pullman. And then Sally's heart enters the scene doing a sort of Harley Quinn voice. She comes in, and she is also a big fan of Bill Pullman. And then the hearts start dancing together as they're singing, and then they are like, oh my god, our hearts skipped a beat. Oh, that must be because our hearts are dancing to a song
doing a waltz
in
in 4/4
time.
Which was a very clever joke.
That was a very clever joke. My favorite joke in this scene is they do a subversion of the taking off the glasses cliche, where he tries to take off Sally's glasses and she immediately, the eyes go crossed and she can't see anything. So he puts them on again immediately. I love that. I love that little subversion there. And then Joey and Sally kiss, which is a pretty good kiss, I thought. But it's weird for me because in the Harry Potter shows, they play siblings.
Okay.
He's Ron Weasley and she's Ginny Weasley. So it's super weird for me to see them kiss.
You do theater, like you know that people.
But like I so identify them with those roles.
Gotcha.
Because they did those roles more than any other part for the show. I think that's the only, aside from Black Friday and The Guy Who Didn't Like Musicals, which are kind of connected. The Harry Potter thing is the only long-running series that they had with actual sequels and continuity.
Gotcha.
Everything else, they've only played things like once. And then Sally introduces Joey to her cooter, and Joey kisses Sally's cooter, which Sally is very excited about.
Yes.
Cooter says he's a keeper. And then she's like, well, let's see that dick. And Joey suddenly realizes, oh no, my dick is gone. But even though apparently this is a thing that happens in this universe, he doesn't just say...
tell her.
He doesn't just say, hey, my dick left. He says, I can't do this. Resulting in a really funny bit of physical comedy where Sally grabs her cooter by the head and pushes it back between her legs. Yeah. And the heart tells Joey, well, you gotta go find your dick.
This is about the time where I started to get really tired of the show. Because
really?
So much of, like, it's just...
This is where the weird really kicks into high gear.
I know, but so much of the humor in the show began to just default to, like, we're saying the word dick. Isn't that funny? And that became very tiresome for me.
Sure. At this point, whenever I'm watching the show, I'm very invested in the story. So I usually just kind of gloss over that.
And this is where I think if the costuming were different, it would have more of an effect for me, especially what we're about to get to, the Council of Vaginas.
Yeah.
Where if it were like a bunch of people dressed as vaginas sitting around, I'd be like, this is fucking madness.
Yeah.
Instead, it's just a bunch of women and men in dresses, and I'm like,
right.
This is an interesting, weird idea, but it's not playing for me.
You know what would have been good? Have you seen, there's the Janelle Monáe song Pink. She did a music video to that, and she's dressed as a vagina in that music video.
I've seen pictures of it. I've not watched it.
Yeah. I don't remember if I liked the song or not. It's been a long time, but I remember thinking those costumes were fantastic.
Yeah.
So maybe if they remake it, they can do something more like that. I know that they
don't have a college budget.
Yeah,
true.
They have much of their stuff now is crowdfunded, and the last time they were able to afford a more complete camera setup where they actually had like a crane that would
cool.
come through and do shots of things. Which, after watching so many years of their performances with just like a 3-camera setup, was kind of jarring, actually, to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine.
To have like all those close-ups and stuff. Another one of my favorite lines: the heart is berating Sally. Sally's heart is berating Sally in her bed. She's eating ice cream, Rocky Road, and she says, "You eat until you are as fat as you are ugly." And she said, "That'll take forever," which is so sad.
Yeah,
it's so funny. But Miss Cooter has not given up. And the old snatch comes to her window and tells her she needs to leave Sally and come to the Council of the Pussies. And that's where the song that I open the show with, "Every night at the stroke of 3, the pussies gather," takes place. The vaginas are apparently much more secretive than dicks, because even though apparently we know that like random passersby can sometimes see dicks walking around, the vaginas only come out at night.
What about women who work night shift jobs?
I guess they're shit out of luck.
I guess.
Yeah, or either that or they have an understanding with their vaginas. The old snatch asks the Council of Pussies for help to find Dick. Miss Cooter tries to add her voice to it, but apparently the Grand Cunt, the leader of the Council of Pussies, demands that all those possessing a hymen are forbidden to speak. The main argument, of course, ends up ending between the old Snatch and Flopsy. There's a Last Starfighter reference.
For some reason,
which is yet another connection this has with Clerks, the animated series.
Yes, it does.
Flopsy has a bit where she just like lays into the old Snatch, which the actor gets wrong because he repeats the same line 3 times in a row. But
I thought that was just really just laying on the slut shaming.
It could be, but yeah, they say essentially the argument comes down to the same argument they've been having the whole show, whether or not love is possible between a dick and a vagina. Flopsy says, "You better hope that dicks can't love, because what does that say about you, old Snatch? You've had so many dicks in you, none of them stay."
Says that's why Tiff has to sleep around so much, because anyone who goes in there doesn't want to go back again.
Yeah, which of course is stupid.
Yeah.
But again, like where I think that the writers are coming from is showing that the attitudes are what is broken. It's not the old Snatch, because even in the end, the old Snatch does find happiness. Spoilers. True. But it's just that the attitudes that people have about sex are wrong, including Joey's attitude about just gotta have that sex is wrong. The old Snatch, at this point, there's a moment which doesn't make sense to me. Miss Cooter stands up for the concept of love, and the old Snatch comes back from her depression and takes off a blonde wig that he's been wearing the whole show. Wig and hat. So does that mean that Tiff wears like
A merkin?
a merkin, like a blonde merkin.
I don't know, because I have no clue what that was supposed to represent. Because he also has a hairnet on underneath it, presumably to attach the
wig
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope so. They should do a musical about merkins.
They should. They should absolutely do a musical about Merkin. So then the council decides to vote by queef. They queef in favor.
Yes.
And the Council of Pussies go to war against the Lost Dicks. Flopsy apologizes to both Cooter and Snatch, revealing that her real name is Myrtle. So apparently the names that we've been hearing are not their real names. They are affectionate or nicknames.
Mm-hmm.
But each of the vaginas has their own real name. And as we find out later, the Dicks have real names too. So that's a whole other level to this universe.
Yeah.
And the vaginas reveal that they can fly by flapping their lips and thinking of dicks that fit just right.
Yeah.
So the vaginas fly to war against the cult of Lost Dicks.
Which, again, I appreciate this in concept.
Yes.
But it just didn't really
Right.
come across to me.
And it's a stage show.
And it's a college show. They're
college show.
students. They don't have a lot that they can to work with.
Yeah.
God bless them for doing what they managed to do.
Right.
But like I said, I was also kind of checked out from the show, like just because it's just
I kind of want to
dick.
I kind of want to see a version of this that's like a Newgrounds animated movie.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, just like nothing like on the same level as like DreamWorks or anything. Just like simply animated, so you could see like what it would be like with an actual dick and an actual vagina. I don't know. Maybe that would be too disturbing.
It might be, but it'd be interesting to see.
That's what Newgrounds was good at, though, being incredibly offensive.
Yes. It's a good reference to a site that was popular 30 years ago.
Yes. That is where Rick and Morty got their start.
Was it?
Yep. It was originally a cartoon where Doc and Marty from Back to the Future are in a pickle, and Doc tells Marty the only way that they can get the DeLorean to fly is for Marty to suck his balls. And so Marty sucks his balls, and then it makes it work.
I did see, or I've heard of, at least seen screenshots of that short. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was from Newgrounds. I assumed it was from Channel 101.
Oh, okay.
But
I don't know what Channel 101 is.
It's a project Dan Harmon was involved in where people would come up with these series, like a television series, but like 10 minutes long.
Oh, okay.
And people would vote on whether they wanted to see more of it or not.
Oh, so kind of like there was a Cartoon Network show that was a lot like that. Was that like Cartoons or something like that?
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with that, but sure.
Yeah, there's something like that, and they had I think Family Guy was a segment of that at one point and did not get picked up.
Yeah.
And it ended up going somewhere else. But anyway, so we cut back to Joey cold and alone looking for his dick. He collapses in the street but is found by the Lost Dicks somehow. They feed him homemade soup.
Yeah.
Which the audience laughed at.
I guess
it's piss. I don't know.
I assume semen.
Oh.
Like a chowder.
No, he said it was homemade chicken noodle.
Yeah.
So it's yellow.
Why oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just assumed that the audience was assuming it was semen.
Oh, okay. Joey wakes up and says, "You're all dicks." He tries to ask the other dicks about his own, and Big T enters to tempt him to take him on as his dick, telling him that swinging low is my game. And Joey gets kind of intrigued by the idea, but is not fully sold. And then Dick re-enters. And we have the third act lovers reuniting scene between Joey and the Dick.
Come back together.
He apologizes to his Dick, tells him he was right to pursue Sally, and there's a line that confuses the hell out of me. I get the joke. It's an old joke, but I don't understand it in this universe, how it works. Where he says, I would kiss you if I could. Remember when we tried? We were this close.
Yeah.
Fine, yeah, I get it, but like, your dick can detach.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I think we're thinking more about the ramifications of this universe than they ever did.
Big T says, you know what? These two belong to each other. I'm not going to get in the way. But that's not enough for Weenie, who suddenly becomes the main villain of the story.
Exactly. Secret villain.
Secret villain. Right at the end of the story, becomes the main villain. Takes over the gang, takes Joey hostage, and he says all of the dicks are going to take their turn riding on Joey's bad body. And Weenie is going to have the first pick. I cannot tell if this is rape or not. It's definitely a violation of some kind.
It's a violation of his body autonomy, I suppose.
Yeah.
I don't know if rape is the exact right word,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, it is a violation. It's
Sure.
It's unelective surgery, let's call it.
You remember when that movie came out? That bizarre film where someone did a sex change on someone, turning them into Michelle Rodriguez, and they were going for revenge against Sigourney Weaver for turning them into a woman.
No.
Yeah, Michelle Rodriguez is a man who was turned into a woman who's going for revenge against Sigourney Weaver for doing that to her.
No, I've never heard of this movie.
This only came out like a few years ago.
The fuck?
I know. This doesn't feel like something that should ever have been made, but it exists.
Like, I could see this being made in, like, the 80s or even the 90s, but...
Maybe.
That's a fucking... I'll have to look that up and see what the fuck was going on there.
Yeah. I haven't heard anything good.
Well, I can't imagine. But it's someone's favorite movie.
It's somebody's favorite movie. And then suddenly they smell fish.
Ah.
The oldest joke in the book.
Yeah.
It's the pussies. They've arrived. And there's a brief scuffle between the pussies and the dicks, but the dicks are, I guess, afraid of the pussies and they run away. And then we have a sudden incursion from the plot of A Bug's Life, where the bird that once hunted Weenie in the past shows up again and presumably eats Weenie off stage. It definitely eats some sort of dick.
Yeah.
Because we have the standard "is he dead" cliche, with Joey thinking that his dick was eaten by the bird instead of Weenie, and it turns out that dick is still there.
Yay.
It's all good. They're finally reunited. The heart joins in as well. They rattle off a whole bunch of High School Musical references in the middle of a single scene.
Okay, I didn't get that because I've never seen the program.
Yeah, and that's another hallmark of early Star Kid. For instance, one of Voldemort's Horcruxes in a Harry Potter musical is a Zephron poster.
Okay.
Yep. Miss Cooter says hi to Dick and delivers a line in the show that still manages to gross me out after all these years. The rest of the show I don't bat an eye at, but this one line, for some reason, still gets to me. It was worth it. I've been through hell and high water to get here, but it was worth it to see that little pee hole smiling up at me.
Okay, it's a weird thing to be grossed out by.
I don't know why. It's just something about the idea of a pee hole smiling.
Well, it does
just
sort of
bothers
have
me.
lips.
Oh,
It's got the
God.
dick hole lips.
I don't know why that's the thing that still bothers me.
You should stare at yours until you get used to it.
Oh, my God.
Make it kiss a mirror. Put some
Jesus
lipstick
Christ.
on it and like just leave
Oh.
little dick stick kisses on your mirror.
I'm so bothered by this.
Okay.
I guess that's the next level of weird I need to get through.
Yeah.
Is lipstick dick. Joey suddenly seems to realize how crazy the play has gotten. And he turns around and says, how do I get home? Because I'm just a little kid and you're all a bunch of dicks and vaginas. This has changed my entire worldview. And I wrote, you and me both, buddy, for how much this show changed my life when I saw it. It would have been amazing if it had an ending like the ending of the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer TV special.
Oh, with the Island of Misfit Toys?
Yeah, where they go back for all the misfit dicks and deliver them to all the boys and girls and that don't have dicks. Snatch commands Flopsy to take Joey and Dick back to their home dimension, which is where I get the interdimensional stuff from, along with the disturbance when they enter the land of the dicks earlier. And then the old Snatch decides to leave Tiff behind. She decides she's going to go and see the world. She's had enough of this life.
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out that the Dick that she had loved and had left her back in the day that she talked about, which made her give up on love, was actually Big T.
Oh.
And we find out her real name is Gladys, and Big T's real name is Tobias. And they were in love, and of course, in the sex change, Big T was left behind and couldn't find Gladys anymore. And but now they're back together. They sing one more heartfelt reprise of "Me and My Dick"
with the whole cast.
Well, not
not
quite yet. They that's a personal one. Then there's another reprise later with the whole cast, and then the tickets are still floating in the air from when they were thrown away earlier. They grab them,
waft by,
and they go to Venice. Cooter returns to Sally, and Joey climbs in through her window, a la old sitcoms.
Sam and Clarissa Explains It All.
That's it. Yep, Clarissa Explains It All. I have trouble with the name Clarissa. And he sings a reprise of "Coming Around," which is a song that they sang earlier in the choir room. And this time their hearts and their privates all dance together, and then they jump in bed and sing the song "Making Love."
That's right.
And during that's another village song where everybody comes and you get to see, for some reason, Vanessa is there watching them have sex.
Yeah.
And is like, wow, I wish I could be like that. And then Rick shows up and declares his love for her. And then another Star Kid cast member who was not in the show up until this point shows up as Rick's dick.
Yeah.
For some reason, he plays Snape in their shows, and for some reason he's still doing the Snape voice. It's like, hey!
Okay.
How's it going? Still got that pearl necklace I gave you?
It would have been funny if Rick and Vanessa started fucking right there as well.
That would have been amazing. I would have loved that. Tallywhacker and Gladys travel the world, seeing the world's biggest ball of twine. And then Tiff realizes her vagina's gone, is freaked out and confused as anyone would be. And then Weenie shows up and decides to become her new dick.
Yeah.
Which she's fine with. And Weenie says, "You work for me. First jerk me off, and then we're going to plan to murder Joey Richter." And Tiff is fine with all of this.
Yeah.
She's like, sounds great. Jerking you off and then committing murder. So, what the hell does that make Tiff? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't really want to question it.
Yeah. And finally, one last "Me and My Dick" reprise with the whole cast. Joey and Joey look at each other and go, "Yo!" I don't understand it. It's probably an inside joke.
Most likely.
And then that's the end of the program.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, I have a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Next one's a gimme.
Okay.
What does the penis fill with to make it erect?
Blood.
Yes.
Yes.
At what stage of life can the penis first become erect?
It starts very young, I think. Like middle school, maybe?
In the womb.
Oh, okay.
And the last question is, how many eggs does I had trouble phrasing this.
Okay.
So if it's unclear, that's my fault.
Okay.
How many eggs does a person with ovaries produce in a month? A, 30, B, 1, C, 0, or D, 5 to 7?
5 to 7?
No, a woman or a person with ovaries is born with all the eggs it will ever have.
Oh. Oh.
So you got...
So that was a trick question then.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I gave you, it was a multiple choice and 0 was an answer.
Oh, right. Damn it.
So you got...
I just suck.
1, 2, 3 correct.
Okay.
Out of 7.
Oh.
You're a sex failure.
I'm a sex failure.
Yes.
Oh, damn.
Well, that was our Me and My Dick episode.
That was our Me and My
Thank
Dick
you for
episode.
bringing that to us.
Sure.
It's a very personal film. That's what we want to
Yeah.
talk about and what we want to...
It's not going to be weird for everybody, but it was very formative for me. I will say, you talked about this was definitely the grossest thing that I'd ever watched. Mm-hmm. I had seen sex comedies before. Specifically, I'd seen the movies Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek. And those movies just ended up making me more afraid of sex.
Gotcha.
Because they treat sex as this very nebulous, strange thing in those movies, and that was not what I needed.
I wouldn't call those specifically sex comedies. They're not like the American Pie movies.
True. I've never seen American Pie. So
I have not either.
I can't compare.
But they do have raunchy elements.
Yeah.
I would still say this is the raunchiest, most sex-filled thing.
Yes, but I think that
forgetting Sarah Marshall has goddamn puppets in it.
True, but despite the sort of reductive nature of certain stereotypes and characters that we talked about, it in general has a very positive message about sex. I think, especially at the end when Sally and Joey are going at it with each other. There's an idea that this is a fun, wholesome activity that people just do with each other, and there's nothing about it that should be shameful.
Yeah.
And that was something that my parents never intentionally set out to make me afraid of sex. It was just the way that I developed.
Your mother didn't dress up as a vagina and jump out of a closet at you?
No, she didn't.
Boo!
No. But
look at me, Billy!
But this was like that thing that like kind of just broke me of that and made me realize this is just a human thing to do.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be afraid of it.
Then you became an unstoppable fuck monster.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not sure what our next movie will be. I'm thinking of a couple different things.
For shame.
Lair of the White Worm is one.
Sure.
Possibly Kill List.
Do you want to say, like, our next episode is this, our next episode is that? So, and then I'll just edit it to be whatever the real one is.
Let's keep it a mystery.
Okay.
Because it might not be any of those, but
okay.
Of the possibilities, Lair of the White Worm, the very campy, fun Ken Russell.
Lair of the White Worm sounds like a joke that would be made in Me and My Dick.
It does. Like I said, Kill List, which I really want to show to you.
Right.
The puppet movie Strings.
Nice.
Is also a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I still need to watch it to vet it first.
Of course.
Or it could be something else.
Could be.
But until then, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.